Okay, so it's going to be myself and Trey. So I'm going to introduce Trey. Trey is Aramco Ventures.
Sure.
That's it. There you go. And I am the co-founder of SparkLabs, which is an early stage venture fund across Asia. So we're all over Asia. And we do quite a number of different verticals. So this session is hopefully got some founders in here. And we have Trey. So Trey is one of the very well-known VCs in the region, and of course Aramco Ventures, but does a wide range of stuff, don't you? Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't really have to say that much. So Trey will just nod serenely there on the stage. And I'm just going to get out there. Now I've got the mic. I'm going to roam around. Now you can ask anything. Ask about A rounds, B rounds. I was previously on the board of Siri and Spotify, so I've seen everything from early stage all the way up through to C round, D rounds, E rounds. I'm also a founder, so I have appreciation for that as well. So we're here as a mic. Ask us any questions. So who would like to kick off? Who's got a question? Yeah? You got a question? Very good. And you got to tell us a bit about what you do, and have you got a startup? Good.
No trick questions, all easy questions, please.
Okay, don't worry, I'll go easy on you.
Hi, Telp.
Hi.
Hi, nice to see you.
So nice to see you as well. So my name is Meehan. I'm the founder and CEO of Telp. It's a platform that connects students to tutors. Trey knows me well. I just wanted to ask how you would define like an early stage, because I feel like this is something that can be a bit confusing. You know, some people say you're at pre-seed, some people say seed, other people say Series A.
It's a great question.
It's a bit confusing. So how would you define it?
Yeah.
It's very confusing, and there's no right or wrong answer. I just had this argument or discussion with someone in Saudi that was calling something pre-seed, seed, and then Series A. So I guess logically that flows, but where you draw the line between the different rounds, I don't know. My thought is, you know, seed is early stage, but you asked me, you know, what is early stage? So they're kind of synonymous for me. Seed could be pre-revenue. It might be after commercialization. I think seed usually is maybe a couple $100,000 or less. Again, I wasn't used to, in the US prior to coming here 6 years ago, pre-seed and seed. It was kind of angel or seed and then venture capital. And that for me is a little bit easier to define, kind of in the region as well as my previous life in the US. That's kind of a Series A round is for sure more than $1 million, you know, maybe 1 to 10 million. In the US, it's kind of 5 to 10 million. At Aramco, they call it venture capital, and we have the ability to do very early seed, you know, through venture capital and then growth capital. So the definition of venture capital is also a little bit different than what I'm used to. You're raising money at the end of the day, and I don't know if an investor is going to get turned off if you say you're looking for pre-seed or seed.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And one of the issues is that, especially for here in the region, is that if you read all the US advice and the US blogs, they're from a very San Francisco mentality where seed can be like $2-3 million at least. So you got to kind of discount that and ignore it and just think, what is the region? And Trey's absolutely right. You're raising money, and all you need to do is find out who's the match between the amount of money you're raising and what you're trying to do. So that's where I go. Our second question is, when should you approach an investor? I guess it depends on what type of investor, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. The advice that I give is you're never going to be perfect. Okay, I've seen entrepreneurs say, well, if I can just get X, Y, and Z done, you know, then I'll talk to investors, then they'll invest. But you know, there's a fine line between being too early and ready. But I would say if you're close to a milestone that you think is investable, start talking to people now, especially in this region, because it's going to take a long time. Things move slowly generally when you're dealing with investors, but I'd say it's a little bit longer here compared to other markets.
Yeah, it takes a while to build up a relationship. I mean, even in the US, it takes a while. Like you go and see somebody, in Asia as well, you go see somebody just talking about who you are, they want to get to know you. I would never say it's too early, really, as long as you feel like you're at a milestone ready to talk. What I wouldn't do is go, hey, look, I've got an idea. Like, I think you've got to have something more than just an idea. You've got to have a product that's, at some point ready
Yeah, and
to
it was
go.
brought up here on another panel, I forget who it was, but I totally subscribe to this. I think you should be talking to investors or talking to fellow Unbound participants regularly, because even if you're not raising money or if you're worried about when the right time is to raise money, you might get a nugget from those people. This ecosystem is caring, is nurturing, and you may get free advice. Someone was focused on the problem, not the solution. So you may think you have the solution, but you talk to an investor and they say, no, focus on the problem and do X, Y, Z, not A, B, C, and you process that and see if it, again, gets you into more of an investable state.
Okay, who's the person who asked what are the top two things? Is that you? Yeah, do you want to tell us about yourself? Yeah?
Yeah, I have different questions.
Yeah. Just tell us about yourself, what you're doing.
Yeah, hi, my name is Suresh. I am the CEO and co-founder of Expressbase. Ours is actually a development platform that helps businesses build business process apps quickly. Trey, you were one of the selection. You were one of the in the selection panel who selected us for Flat 6 Labs. So I have two questions. One is that nowadays most startups, they call themselves as platforms. Mine is actually a platform, so how do I differentiate between, everybody starts calling themselves platforms. So the question is the money and effort involved in building an application versus a platform are kind of different. So how do I convince the investor that mine is
So just to get that right, does that mean, how do investors look at building a platform versus building an app? Was that?
Yes. So
okay.
So most applications, they call themselves a platform. So how do an investor differentiate between an application and a platform?
Okay.
Because the effort involved is too high for a platform, and the time to go to market is also comparatively higher. And my second question is, when I am approaching investors or potential investors, some people advise me that, okay, you shouldn't be asking for too much, even $150,000 or $200 is kind of okay for you. But some people say, okay, you should be...
Great. Let's take that second question first. What's the amount?
Yeah,
really?
Some people advise me you should go for 1 million.
Yeah.
But then we don't have enough traction, so I am kind of uncomfortable and confused. So.
Perfect. Okay, I'm not the right person to answer this. I had totally different opinions about this yesterday. So
Trey, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. This is not black and white stuff. It's gray.
Yeah.
He may love it and I hate it. And that's just the nature of the game. How much money to raise? It's important. And if you're raising less money, technically you could or should have more potential interested parties or investors. The other thing that could be advantageous to you as an entrepreneur, because if you're raising less money, depending on the valuation, you could be giving up less equity in the company, okay? And that's a discussion that a sophisticated investor is going to have with you. The other thing, generally speaking, you want to raise enough money for at least 6 months, preferably 12 to 18 months, to cover your cash flow situation and make sure you don't run out of money. And within that 6 to 18 months, you're hopefully building value. So if you raise $300,000 now, that you can raise $1 million in 18 months, right? And the valuation of your company has gone up, so it's less dilutive to you as the founder.
So, and I'll take on the first part of the question, which was the platform versus the app. It's very much depending on the case. So if you've got a platform, if you've got an app and you are Deliveroo or you're doing a delivery thing and you're consumer focused, it means it's an app, right? You don't need to be a platform at this stage. You need to be extremely focused about delivering something very simple. I would always say, you remember the very, very big companies that have come out of the US came from extremely simple ideas and very, very small teams, right? So Instagram was 2 or 3 people. In fact, it was only 12 people when it sold, or 14, right? For $1 billion. Twitter was 2 or 3 people and did one thing very, very well. Instagram did one thing very, very well, which was, disappearing messages, or whether it's, a tweet or whether it's a photo. They did one thing extremely well. And that's what the most important thing for an app, I always believe at the start, is that it does one thing extremely well and does not confuse the end user what it is supposed to do. And then I think that you don't need to be a platform in that case until you are much, much bigger. And if you're a platform, then you're coming from maybe a B2B perspective or an enterprise perspective, then a platform is important because I want to see you scale. I want to see how you could potentially go for, how are you going to onboard partners easily? And one of the very important things is integration. So, how many other integrations can you bring to your platform that make it interesting? So I don't know if that helps on the question, sort of. Well, there you go. Was my answer better? Or, yeah,
That's good.
Whichever it came down. Okay, who's got another one? Yeah? Well, we'll do this one first. Okay. And we'll answer one off the slides.
So I'm running a corporate emotional health startup. And realistically speaking, to disrupt the EAP industry, we need $1 million at least, right? But I'm very early stage. So Lyra Health, something like in North America, has already got $89 million of investment. So how do I convince you if I'm, pre-revenue? I mean, I'm making some revenue, right? But I know what I'm doing, and we have a very good team. How do I convince you for that $1 million?
Ooh,
because this is
pre-revenue.
Yeah. No, I have revenue.
Okay.
Small stuff. But I have revenue, I have some traction, and I have a big Fortune 50 company about to sign on.
Okay. But have you got a big vision? Have you got a vision that's going to say this is $1 million, I'm going to put $1 million into this?
I'm disrupting and changing the EAP industry for what it stands for.
Okay.
Right? I'm hoping I'll be the one buying Lyra Health.
Okay.
Not Lyra Health buying out.
That's the vision that has to be married to that sort of money.
Yeah, you need 1 million, you said.
For the year.
Okay, for the year. And
Yeah.
that'll take you 12 months.
Yep.
Okay. It's not impossible, but as a very early stage pre-seed,
Exactly.
kind of first round, it is on the larger end. It's not impossible. Off of a business concept and a pitch deck, software not being built, there's a Saudi gentleman that I'm working with that just put together 2 million rials.
Mm-hmm.
And I was shocked because, and he did it, it took, I think, 11 people, but he got 2 million rials, kind of in the same, boat as you. It's not $1 million, so it's not impossible. So what you need to do is you need to show that this gets me through 12 months. Preferably you have a 5-year plan
Of course.
that shows, okay, at the end of 12 months, I'm going to need more money or I'm going to be profitable. You show that investor a path to the returns that they're looking for.
I'm profitable as soon as my first corporate signs on, I'm profitable, right? And I've got my own software.
As soon as your first corporate, what?
As soon as they sign on, the first corporate that I'm talking about, the Fortune 50 company in
So
the
why do you
region,
need if you can get them, if you can get that first corporate to sign on before the million, it's going to make the million
because I
easier
want
to
to build
raise.
that, because I want to build on that tech. Because that's just it comes in, I'm profitable, but it doesn't mean I'll be making about $5,000 of profit
But you're not
a
making
month.
enough to
Yeah,
do
I'm
the
making like
development.
$5,000 of profit a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but if that's the case, I'm not sure. Do you really need $1 million? If you're really talking about building a development platform at that stage, I'm kind of like, why not just do like 400, 500,000? I mean, it's mainly development that you need, right?
Precisely. I said $1 million. Again, this is an open question VC.
Yeah.
I want to understand the mentality behind, okay, if I need $1 million, what do I want to get?
Yeah.
Right? My actual ask is actually lower than $1 million. I'm not really asking you right now. I'm asking
Yeah.
the mentality to get there. Right? So if I want to be, because in other words, what will happen is people in North America Uber will always be buying out Kareem. Kareem will never be buying out Uber. Right? So if we want to sort of like, how do we make it faster and how do I make sure that I'm the one
Sure.
scaling and we're the hub instead of like the Silicon Valley?
Sure.
Yeah,
Thanks,
it's all about, the investor is just that. They're looking for financial returns. So you need to be believable, passionate, and show them a path to them investing $1 million and getting $3 million back in 3 to 5 years. That's it, the simple answer. The other thing is, as an entrepreneur, as a former entrepreneur, do as much as you can before you raise money, because every different milestone that you hit makes your company that more valuable, and it'll help you with the valuation discussion.
Who asked, thanks Trey, who asked the top one? Does it matter if you already have an existing idea? Who? Okay. All right. So you can tell us about yourself because you've got a couple of votes for that one, so. popular question. Okay, tell us about yourself, what you do.
First, my name is Abu Bakr, and I'd like to thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to actually ask a question that has been going through my mind for a while right now. Now, I haven't really started something official, but I'd like to start something in the education sector. So I would like to ask if it is really effective, if it matters to start something already existing, like there are already like TELP, there are other stuff. You see, does it matter?
No.
Is it?
I mean, I would say starting for this, like, so there are tons. I mean, Kareem is not original idea, right? So Kareem is simply executing Uber here and executing it well within a local market. I mean, there are tons and tons of companies. I mean, in fact, Silicon Valley is extremely good at this. Is basically taking an idea from somewhere else, exactly the same idea, putting a huge ton of money behind it, and executing it faster than the other guy. I mean, that's what they do, essentially. There's not that many original ideas in Silicon Valley. A lot of it is seeing stuff elsewhere and just executing it with a ton of money faster. So I don't think that's, in my opinion, I mean, I don't, yeah. But if that's not the point, is that the point, though? It's like...
Actually, more specifically, because there's an idea, all right? I'd like to adopt an already existing idea and add to it what was already missing in my theory, right?
I mean, that's like lots of platforms are just another platform which was the same as something else that's just been evolved in a better way.
Would it be attractive to investors? Do you think it would be attractive, or would they say just this is already there, so...
Yeah, unfortunately, you're not going to find, the brand new concept. There's something out there. So that's similar to any idea, and that's reality at the end of the day. What I always want to do, first of all, is become an expert in that industry. When I was starting first businesses, I didn't have Google, and I didn't have Google News, where you can put in keywords regarding edutech or education, whatever you're working on, and you get a free daily feed of any new news in that industry or those specific keywords. So become an expert, and then becoming an expert in your industry also means understanding the direct and indirect competition, okay? Because there are other companies out there. Look first in Bahrain, then look to GCC, then look to MENA, then look to other markets, and find what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. Try to replicate what you think is going to work here, position it culturally for the region. And the other thing, you said you're kind of interested in education. I saw a business plan 3 weeks ago, and they had an edutech concept, and they were going to come up with their own content. And I said, are any of you teachers? And they said, no. So you try to have relevant industry experience in something that you're going to start. More times than not, you're going to be more successful. One of the guest speakers that I had come into my class in the United States before coming here, he had a great story. He said, so if you love shoes, go work for 5 years or 2 years, 3 years, 4 years for the best shoe company that you found in the market. And then leave and start your own shoe company. And again, you'll know the good, the bad, the ugly, what works, what didn't work with this high-performing shoe company. And then you're experienced in that industry and more apt to succeed at having that experience when you start your own company.
And I'll add on that. So I was an investor in early stage in DeepMind, which is an AI company sold to Google. And Demis, who is the co-founder of that, he went even further. I mean, he basically was like, he'd done a gaming company and sold it. And he was like, I want to do an AI company, and I want to do an AI company which is going to change the world, basically, for a variety of reasons. So he was even, he decided, I'm going to go and do a PhD. And he did a PhD in neuroscience. And the reason he did that is because he wanted to go and meet all the top people in the neuroscience and AI field through Imperial, etc., in London, because he wanted to go and hire them. And he wanted to understand the field, he wanted to understand what was done, what was not done, what had been done, and then he also wanted to identify the talent. So he took a very long-term view. He didn't jump in, he's like, okay, I'm going to take 3 years to do my PhD. I'm going to find everyone, and then I'm going to execute on the company. I'm going to know everything. So you don't, absolutely, that story of like understand your market really, really in depth before jumping in, you don't have to rush it. That's key. All right, who asked the question which was, which has now disappeared for some reason, but I don't know where it's gone. Yes, that one up the top there. What's the best, cleanest? No, we won't swear. Okay. What's the best, cleanest, and most efficient way to pitch a VC? Who asked that one? Well, someone asked it. Wow. Okay, we want to stay anonymous for a very, very good reason. Yeah. Okay. What's the best, cleanest? What's the best way to pitch a VC, Trey?
It's a great question, and there's no, yes, no, black, white answer. What I always do, even in business meetings, there's social media, there's LinkedIn, there's your network. Know who you're talking to, please. Okay. On everyone's, if it's an investor, venture capital fund, look to see what their mandate is. Find out what they're investing in. If I'm investing in healthcare, don't bring an agriculture deal to me because it's outside of my scope. Generally, the venture capitalists invest in their own industry experience, just like the shoe guy or girl that I was telling you about earlier. So in addition to understanding what is of interest to the investor, try to find out how technical they are. You want to generally, when you're pitching something, pitch it in layperson terms. Very vanilla, very plain, but sexy enough to be able to attract their interest, and you want them to be able to ask you questions. They want to hear more. But if you're in neuroscience and you're talking to a neurosurgeon, then you can absolutely show your very technical prowess in that pitch, but you wouldn't do it to a non-neurosurgeon, okay? So understand who you're talking to, and I promise you it will be more effective. The other thing, when you pitch, watch for body language, okay? This is important, and it's a little secret. If my eyes start glazing over, or I shuffle, or I do the very bad this, you lost me, okay? Change that. Don't do that again with the next investor that you're talking to. Refine your pitch over time. Watch for different just human interaction signs that you're saying the right things. You're touching a hot button to, again, get me to want to ask you questions and show interest in your business.
Yep, 100%. Who wants to ask a question? Is there anyone? Yeah? Oh, wait, you asked up beforehand. You can't sit that far up, though. You can't make me walk that far, for God's sake. Come back down here. Right, here you go. There you go. Thanks, buddy. All right.
Thank you very much. I just moved into Bahrain 2 weeks ago, literally, from
Welcome.
the States.
Okay.
Thank you. And I'm here first time. And it has been very exciting for me. I have a design agency. It's called Yes Design. We provide an on-demand services for small businesses and even individuals.
Sorry, what type of services?
It's called Yes. It's on-demand services.
Oh, okay.
On-demand print services, which is nowhere to be found here in the Middle East area. What are the 3 prerequisites or requirements for an angel investor or VC to fund actually business? And me as a founder of the business, should I focus more on the money or the business side or building a local team? There's many question marks actually, and I hope you can give me some insights on how to actually get my way through here. Thank you.
Did you say, should you focus on building a team or raising money? Is that what you said?
Yeah, what should I?
Do you have a team now?
Here locally, no, but back home, yes, I still have my small team in the States, yes.
Okay.
Chris Rogers, a friend, was up here on stage earlier, and he said, when you own your own business or you're an entrepreneur and you run out of toner, you change the toner, so you're going to wear many hats. And when you're fundraising, it can be overwhelming because you're trying to manage now a team in the U.S., building a Bahrain team here, and engaging with investors, and it's time consuming. It could take 2 months.
Well, let me give you some quick brief about what we actually do.
Sure.
The service we provide back home in the States is done in collaboration with Amazon. So they actually take care of the production and the fulfillment part of it. So we actually get the clients on board, we design the items, and then they take care of the rest.
So why are you coming here?
Here, because the idea is the Kareem of the Uber thing. I'm not reinventing the wheel or anything. It's just that I heard a lot of good stuff about being here, actually, and I think it might work.
Okay, so you want to take what you've done in the US and bring it over here, essentially?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a kind of blue ocean strategy for me, because you would notice that it's a red ocean there. It's just the competition is just it's a killer.
Okay, all right, cool.
Do you need money?
Right now, no, not ready.
Not ready, or you don't need?
Not really. I don't need the money now.
Okay.
Yeah, I just need to build the base and be here.
Yeah, so I commend you for jumping in with both feet to the region. I think there's a ton of opportunity, and if no one's doing that here, then you should have good luck. Amazon has a big presence here as Amazon as well as AWS, so I would leverage that US relationship to help you ease into this market. And you'll find that this market, if you move to Bahrain, especially, it's very supportive. So I would continue doing things like this and getting involved in the ecosystem.
100%, 100%. So we've got two questions here. What is the top two things you look at to decide whether or not to invest in a startup, and do we need to go angel and VC? So first one, who's interested in what are the top two things to decide? Hands up. We've got a few. Who's interested in, do we need to go angel then VC? Oh well, okay, pretty much even. All right, well, let's do the first one. What are the top two things, Trey?
It's not just two, unfortunately. They say you bet on the jockey, not the horse. So it's definitely about the individual or the management team. And if you look at enough deals as an investor, you start to recognize the kind of entrepreneurs that you want to work with. So the people, yourself as the entrepreneur, absolutely matter. And that's where I go back. Become that industry expert. Become that passionate person. Do something that you like, because that shows. And again, body language, as I mentioned earlier, is also important. But then you have to have a good idea. Okay, the idea needs to be good, and it's probably not, the cure for cancer, but understand the direct and indirect competition. And then from there, at the end of the day, they're called investors, right? And so investors don't invest to lose money. So you need to find a way for that investor to invest the $1 million and get $3 in 3 to 5 years. That's what they're looking for, financial returns.
And I would say founders is extremely important at the early stage, because you're going to pivot, you're going to go lots of different places, and I need to know, are you able to, firstly, execute fast, and really, really important, hire the right people. It was a great quote that Zuckerberg said, which is, I never really want to hire anyone that I wouldn't want to work for. And if Zuckerberg can say that, that's the way you have to think about it. I think a lot of founders, particularly in this region, try to do everything. They try to be the best at marketing, the best at product, the best at design, etc. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone who can hire the best product, to hire the best business person, and the best salesperson. I do not want you to be the best at everything. In fact, I really don't, because that's going to be the worst type of company. So I think you need someone, you need to have a balance, and the founder is so crucial. I mean, we need to, see that balance. And the other thing at SparkLabs, we have literally a policy. We don't invest in single founders. We only invest in co-founders for a variety of reasons. But co-founders, for me, is, on my side, an extremely important thing. I need to see a good balance that can balance off things left, right, and center.
Yeah, that's so key. We missed that. I always say I'm never the smartest guy in the room, and that's true right now. But having said that, to be humble as an entrepreneur such that you can go out and hire people that are smarter than you to be a CFO, that are smarter than you to be the chief technology officer. It's not threatening. Use them. They might make your job easier, but it's not for everyone. A lot of managers globally and in this region, they want to think they're the smartest. and they're threatened if someone has more knowledge than them. I'm not that person, and I promise I've been more successful hiring people smarter than me than buying or hiring lesser people to do jobs that are important. And that will show well to investors if you have the cream of the crop, people that are all, again, on the same level or higher than yourself.
Great. Thanks, Trey. Thank you very much.
Peace.
Thank you, everyone, for coming over.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for
Appreciate
your
it.
time. Thanks, guys. Thank you.